Urban. Jim is speaking from Pathways Leadership Development Level 3. Deliver a social speech and speak in praise to an individual or a couple. Jim's title is The Work, the Fun, the Adventures of Jim's Parents, Jim and Marie, and what one thing ended up being the most important thing they taught me and my siblings. Timer Jim is asking for 6 to 8 minutes. Please welcome Jim Urban.
Thank you for that. An opportunity to talk to you a little bit about my parents and honor them, Jim and Marie. And so my mom and dad are now 85 years old, but I'm going to take you back a little bit. Of course, 2020 was a challenging year for them in many ways, but my parents were married March 13th, 1954. They've been married for 66 years. That itself is quite a feat. They moved here before I was born. They were from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And here in Denver, they raised 5 kids. I'm the middle child. I have 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. And so here's some reasons why I think my parents are really great. My dad worked hard in real estate, and he also played hard too. Let's first talk about the play, okay? And so one of the things that I remember most as growing up as a kid was I was bugging my dad probably as about 10 or 11 years old to get some motorcycles. He finally gave in at about 12 years old and bought a couple of Yamaha motorcycles, Enduros, and we went out and did some dirt biking and had a wonderful time. He had some buddies from his office that were also riding with us, so we built some great relationships during that time. And it was truly a father-son opportunity. But after a few years, my mom and dad came to me and they said, Jimmy, we've got to get the rest of the family involved in all the fun. And so we became a ski family, and we went up skiing every single weekend during the winter. I would still take my motorcycle out during the summer. I was hooked. But skiing was so much fun with all my sisters and my brothers and the entire family, including my mother. By the way, I have to insert this. As I was growing up, my mom and dad, I never once ever heard a swear word from either one of them. That was such a great example, and another reason why they're so great. Another thing that they did with us kids is they took us on trips. And some of the trips that I remember the most was in 1978 when we went to Hawaii. Of course, Hawaii, right? We had a wonderful time in Hawaii. And then shortly after that, I got a movie camera. Some of you may have seen some of my recent vintage movies I've been producing from the old Super 8. The next trip was in Mazatlan, which did some parasailing. That was the next summer in 1979. We had wonderful times on trips. Some road trips were thrown in there as well. We were very blessed family. My mom, by the way, let me talk about my mom for a minute. She is one of the sweetest, kindest, lovingest, most giving person that you could ever meet. She, by the way, one of her biggest hobbies is gardening. And ever since I can remember as a little kid, she always had the best garden. She really knew how to be a gardener. And believe it or not, at 85, she still has a garden, and I still reap the harvest every single year. And last summer was no different. My mom would also read to us. She would do a lot of wonderful things for her kids. She taught us a lot of wonderful, wholesome things in our life. My dad opened up his real estate company up after being with a big real estate company back in those days called Vance Gogh. He opened up Urban Companies in 1986. My dad was the true professional. And some of the most memorable things that I remember as a kid, in 1972, I can remember my dad having a car phone, not a cell phone, a car phone installed in his car with the little cord coming down the receiver. Everybody thought he was the mayor or maybe the governor of Colorado. He was a true professional, always wearing a tie and a suit, sometimes a three-piece suit. The other thing I remember most about my dad was driving down the road in his Cadillac with him. He would plug in the 8-track Neil Diamond. All the time we were listening to Neil Diamond. And to this day, I love Neil Diamond. So, but I was listening to it in practically real time back in those years when he was in the top of his game. So my mom and dad, they took so good care of us, and they took the time out to take care of us kids. And now it's time for us kids to take care of my parents. They're at that age where they do need some more help. I'm thankful for DoorDash. I'm thankful that I'm able to go over and help them shovel snow when they need help, because I don't want my dad slipping. He has a bad back. In fact, my dad climbed up a ladder. He shouldn't be climbing up a ladder at 85 years old, but he was climbing up a ladder to fix the Christmas tree this most recent last Christmas, and fell off the ladder and survived, but he's got to stop doing that. He thinks my dad's one of these guys that's strong. If you were to shake his hand, even at 85, he would probably squeeze your hand to death. That's the way he likes to do things. He still pretends he's the strongest and most handsome guy in town. My mom, she typically does a couple of things that are odd right now. She'll sometimes put the dish soap in the dishwasher, not the dishwashing soap, but the dish soap. And it's not a pretty sight when the suds start coming out. So some things there's a few struggles going on right now, and we're there for my mom and dad. My mom and dad now have us 5 kids. They have 16 grandkids, and now they have 10 great grandkids. I'm responsible for the 10 great grandkids through my 4 daughters. So I want to tell you guys a couple of things here. First of all, I'm gonna segue a little bit into what Phil challenged me to do. One of the things that my parents gave me at a very young age was speed. When I was in first grade, I don't know where I got those genes from, but I would go to field day. On my field day, I learned that I was a very fast runner. This is way before bicycling, you guys, although I did have a 5-speed Schwinn on the floor. And I have to tell you that I had a lot of speed. And so I went into track and later did cross country as well. And so I excelled and achieved very much as a runner at an early age, thanks to the genes of my good parents. But I have to tell you in conclusion that the biggest thing that my mom and dad gave us out of all the wonderful things that I just talked about, including the trips and everything, and what they taught me and my siblings, was that we needed to believe and follow God and Jesus. And out of everything that they taught us and everything that they did, that was the thing that stuck with me the most and with my siblings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. If we can have 45 seconds for everyone to please write your comments to Jim.